Hey, welcome to the Virgo channel. My name is Lauren. I'm going to do a general message for you. Know that energy is fluid, so roles can be reversed, flip it, switch it, twist it, and just interpret the message as the best resonates for you. Now, if you're not a Virgo, I have another channel called the Psychic Soul Healer channel. The link will be in the description box, along with a lot of other important links like my website link, my Patreon link. You definitely want to check out my Patreon link because I have my Psychic Soul Healer Shadow program there. So if you're someone that has problems with abundance, problems in your relationships, just feel like you're blocked, and blocked means you're keep reliving the same karmic experiences that keep you in a place of limitation, fear, feeling unworthy, feeling not good enough. Again, you definitely want to check out my Psychic Soul Healer Shadow Coaching Program. And the reason why is because it includes inner child healing, it includes shadow healing, it includes reparenting, and then the healing protocols that help you to recondition your nervous system. Because when we go through traumatic experiences, we unconsciously condition our nervous system to live in fight, flight, or freeze. So if you're someone that suffers from anxiety, depression, someone that suffers from adrenal fatigue, then again, you want to check out the program, because everything that happens in the spiritual realm manifests eventually in the physical realm. The spiritual realm is psychological and emotional. So in today's reading, like always, we look at the inner child wounds, we look at the shadows, we look at the triggers, and we look to see how those triggers play out within your experience. And then we look at the hidden truths, because a lot of times a person's intention is not how they behave, especially when we have wounds. When we have wounds, we tend to get in our own way. We tend to sabotage ourselves. So you may be dealing with someone that tends to get in their own way, where you can feel that there's a soul connection and the relationship should work and there is love there, but it just doesn't work. And it might work when you walk away. It works when you seem like you're about to give up. So the relationship also is full of emotion. We could also have blocks in finances, like I said earlier. So when we go through an experience where we get a job and we have the belief that it's going to be the best job, there, everything logically tells us that we're a good fit for the job. We can see ourselves in the job, but then we're in the job, then we have problems with people, or we have problems staying present, or we tend to show up late and tend to get in our own way. I mean, our spiritual blocks play out within our behaviorisms and our habits. In order to heal, you have to first have awareness, and then you need to integrate the spiritual lesson. And integrating it is not just logically and emotionally healing, but there's also usually a physical action that's required, whether that's a ritual, whether that's an act, something that will solidify your intention. Okay, so we're going to look and see what spiritual blocks you have and how they're playing out within your relationship. We're going to see how your person gets triggered from your spiritual blocks and how they react and how karmically the situation plays out. And then, like I said, we're going to look and see what their real hidden truths are and what they're going to do, because a lot of times a person's intention comes out ass backwards. All right. So, Virgo, we're going to look and see what your child wounds are. Okay. Abuse. So abuse could be psychological, it could be emotional. And remember, it's the child wound. So it's how you perceived the situation when you were a child. A lot of times we need to revisit a situation and look at it through who we are today, what we know today, opposed to the child self, and we'll see a different perception, because healing is just that, seeing a different perception. However, abuse, there's a sense of not getting emotionally what you need, not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy. These are the wounds when we're talking psychological wounds. So could there have been physical abuse? Yes, but there was mainly neglect. And that was neglect of what you needed emotionally, neglect sometimes of what you needed on a physical level, whether that was lunch money, whether that was underwear, clothes, whether that was just your needs. So again, when abuse is played out in childhood, it's not common that we wind up attracting people that don't treat us well. So let's look at one more. Because it was so dark, it's like it's abandonment. And so the abuse is, again, emotional abandonment, but also abandonment of what you needed. And I feel as if for some of you, you just grew up with parents that never healed their own trauma. We inherit not just our family karma, but collectively what's happening in our environment when we grow up. So if your parent grew up during World War II, during Vietnam, and there were stories that were told, again, that, and a lot of those stories were, if a parent was raising a child by themselves, they had a lot of anxiety. There was a lot of worry. There was a lot of worry about not having enough. And so a lot of times children feel the parents worry and they unconsciously try to be invisible. They try to be perfect. They try to almost take the pain from the parent, and that is by making the parent's life easier. However, like I said, nevertheless, that child still didn't get what they needed. And this is a feeling of, again, where there was abuse because there was neglect, but there was also abandonment. Now I'm going to look and we're going to see what your person's inner child wounds are. But to be fair, we're going to put the 2 cards back into the deck, because it's not uncommon for soulmate twin flames to have the same wounds. They don't need to have the same wounds. They can have more. Okay, so again, your person is belittled. So that's a abuse too. Emotional abuse is belittled, being made to feel not good enough. So like goes to like. So we see already that you both have one of the same wounds. And remember, if it's a root chakra imbalance, then we're belittled. We feel that we don't belong. We feel that we're different. We feel that we're not good enough. We feel that we don't have enough. And then there tends to be money issues and other issues because we're not feeling good about ourselves. So we try to emulate other people. We try to create support outside of ourselves. We try to look for support and love and to feel safe outside of ourselves, which obviously we never obtain it, because healing is an inside job. We don't create strength with creating strength within our environment. We create strength within ourselves. In order to go with the flow of life, you have to be strong. You have to go with the flow, because a tornado could hit your house. You know, there's a lot of a war could break out, whatever it is. You have the power to transcend the limitations of the physical world, but your environment doesn't. So it's, again, both parties were taught differently, and then both parties need nurturing. They feel as if your person is a highly sensitive person, and they do tend to nurture But in that, I feel like they didn't get the nurturing. So a shadow, a lot of times, if we feel a lacking, we overcompensate by overgiving, overdoing. So it's not that the nurturing is bad, but the nurturing is being done in hopes that the person gets it back. And they never do, because we don't get what we feel that we want so bad. We get what we need. So like goes to like. And if your person has the same wounds that you do, then they don't really know how to give. It doesn't mean that the wounds play out the same way. It means that they, again, don't know how to give. So I'm just going to pull two more just from this deck. This is a very unique deck. And I want to see how it ties in, if it even ties in. But we'll see. Again, we're going to pull one for you. Again, which is a time for spirit. So this is almost like drawing on your inner strength, finding yourself, looking for the bigger purpose. So I feel like you're connected to someone that has the same wounds as you do, that's triggering you because they're not giving you what you need, because they're looking for you to give it to them. So it's forced you to go inward. It's forced you to draw on your inner strengths to see what it is that you really need and what it is that you really want. Because sometimes when there is a soulmate that feels like home, it doesn't mean that we're supposed to be with that person. It means that that person is coming into our life for a spiritual reason, and that's to create awareness within ourselves. So this person is showing you what your wounds are, but it's traumatic because you feel, again, this comfort, this love off them, almost as if they should be giving you. And so you almost want to assume how this person would act, that they would act like you. You would assume that they would act like you because there's a comfortability, there's a soul recognition, there's a strong 3D connection, but this person doesn't do that. This person triggers you. And for them, okay, glasses out, I need stronger glasses. Collision of beliefs, styles, attitudes, and energies. So they do like you a lot, but the fact that you go spiritually in tends to bother them. And it bothers them, number one, because I feel like their religious beliefs are not the same as yours. And they almost were conditioned in an environment to believe more in dogmatic practices than spiritual practices. This person lives their life mainly from an ego consciousness, where you live your life more from a spiritual consciousness. They have strong emotional feelings for you, but being that they live more from the physical realm, they're very logical, they're very analytical. And so they tend to get in their own way because collision of beliefs. So a lot of times when we have a soulmate, they're our exact opposite, especially if they're our twin. They are called our twin because we're seen almost as the other half of ourselves, but there's no such thing as another half of yourself. What it is where you have strengths, your person has weaknesses, and vice versa. So it's almost as if the two of you come together and are like the perfect person, because you do excel in certain areas. So you may excel where I feel like, again, you would go inward. There's a sense that you are psychic, you're intuitive, you are very compassionate, you think about other people first, you're very creative. This person's very logical, very analytical, very structured, very rigid in thoughts, beliefs. Everything is backed up by fact. And even if that fact isn't real, it was someone else's belief. So their environment has dictated a lot of their belief systems. So they have to, dealing with you is a continuously trigger, because they have to look at life differently. But they also have strong feelings, and all these feelings come up, and they don't want to deal with their feelings. Again, they are more analytical, logical. someone that would strategize to come into your life, not someone that's going to lead by intuition, like how you would. Like, it's what I feel. It's what I feel, and I am maybe tapping into what is right, but I am also tapping into my heart. This person doesn't want to tap into their heart. This relationship scares them because it's deep, but soul relationships are supposed to be deep. It's teaching that we can't control love. If we have a wound, we don't volunteer to look at the wound. We don't volunteer to change. Changing doesn't feel good, especially when there's a collision of beliefs, styles, attitudes, and energies. I feel also that you're someone that, Virgo, that if there's a problem, you speak your truth. This person, it triggers them because they sugarcoat everything. Oh, they're very charming, but they're full of shit. Where you have very strong boundaries, you're very straightforward. Think of it almost like someone that's from up north that lives in New York City to someone that lives down south, where everything is polite. You know, everything, I mean, bless your heart means eat shit. I mean, but it's very polite, everything's sugar-coated. Where you don't sugarcoat. So everything that this person believed that was what they wanted, you make them question. So they're mainly fighting within themselves, looking for reasons not to like you, because again, there's a sense of not having control. This person wants to strategize. There's a lot of fear around love. Remember, this person was belittled. And when a person's belittled and they tend to nurture and overgive, and they're coming from a place of not feeling good about themselves, they're overgive. And they unconsciously condition people to not really respect them, to not, because they overgive, overdo it, and they're not doing really for themselves. And this person doesn't really know who they are, because again, when a person is living more from their left brain, strategically and logically, it's based on fact and what other people told them, and then they don't really know who they are. Where spiritually, you know who you are. You live your truth. So what needs healing within your person is they need to actually shed the beliefs, and that doesn't happen, that don't serve them. Obviously not all their beliefs, but that wouldn't happen unless there was a collision of beliefs. There was an awareness. I believe your confidence triggers this person too, because they are not confident. And I'm not saying that you 100% feel confident, but you walk the walk. So now we look at the deeper wounds. And the deeper wounds are not as pleasant. Colorless angel. So colorless angel, it's almost like I feel, Virgo, that you feel like you're still missing, that like you've done a lot of healing work on yourself, but you long to connect deeply with someone. You know that you're sensitive. You know that you have a lot to offer. You are very angelic. There's a sense of you knowing who you are, but there's still that wound. There's still a feeling of again, people that you really connect to and really want to have a connection with, that you're still connecting to people that can't offer. They're still wounded. So there's a sense of you feeling the colorless one. I always think that when we're in love, we see pink, we see colors, everything's more vibrant. There's this little extra pep in our step. So it's not that your life may not good, but there's still a feeling of lack. And we can't have that if we want to create new experiences. Because unconsciously you're holding on to the energy you don't really know that you are. And so for your person, they again are naked before the stars. they need to become naked before the stars. There's a sense of them hiding who they are. They need to. There's a sense that this person has so many shadows and so many masks that in order for them to heal, they have to really become naked. And naked is by going down to the real bare minimum of who they perceive they are on a core level. And I feel like they don't know who that is. They don't know. Because I feel for a long time they lived unconsciously. And that happens a lot of times. If we were in childhood, didn't feel that we got enough, and we were belittled, and we lived in fear, and we're not spiritual. So we're still living our life more from an ego state consciousness. This person doesn't really know who they are. So they kept creating bad life experiences. And because they have, each time that they did, they created perceptions about themselves which weren't true, but they've either overcompensated or undercompensated in their behaviorisms, and they never got a better manifestation from changing their behavior, which only made them stay in a place of feeling not good enough, not lovable. So they have a lot of masks. They don't know who they are. You don't know who you're dealing with. And so like goes to like. So even though your life, Virgo, isn't horrible, there's still a lacking feeling like you can't be loved because you keep pulling in people that are emotionally unavailable. And this person has a lot more imbalanced energy. There's a sense, again, that there's only two energies, love and fear. So this is why you're also energetically connecting to this person, because the wound of not being loved. So we look and see what the real triggers are. For your person and you, let's see, your person, influenced, being given bad advice, follow the crowd, don't give in to temptation. See, again, your person like doesn't have their own identity. And that's what came up earlier, that it's you and them keep bunking heads because you've been, your life, you're more evolved. You have formed your own beliefs. You know who you are on a spiritual level, that you're more in tune with yourself. This person is not emotionally intelligent, so they don't trust what they think, because we're only coming from a very logical place all the time, especially within love. We're not going to ever get what we want. So I feel like instead, this person goes to other people and asks what they should do, even in this connection with you, and they're continually getting bad advice because the people in their environment still want them to give them the energy. Because remember, this person was belittled, so they overgive, they nurture. It's the way that they give love, but they're depleted. And they're being manipulated, because they don't know who they are. So this would be very triggering for you. Very triggering for you. Again, defensive. Well, obviously, like, because this person, what it is you can't let this person in. You don't trust this person because even though you can feel that they have feelings for you, they're not strong within themselves. They're very easily manipulated. So you can't really let your guard down. And that's until they would display, and by showing you that they have their own identity. And that's through breaking away from maybe family structures. And I'm not saying never seeing your family, but you have to, again, venture out into the world. Ships in the harbor are nice, but that's not what they're made for. People that grow up in the same town and never leave their town, I don't believe that that's a good thing. because that's all you know. And there's many different cultures all over the world, many different foods, many different places, many different experiences that you're gonna miss out on because you don't want to venture out into the world, and it makes you ignorant. You're going to be continually triggered, especially if you're not coming from a good place within yourself. And that's what's happened with your person. You don't really have an identity. So of course you would be defensive, and they would be defensive too every time you talk to them. They would take everything wrong. So we can see that there's a lot of triggers. Sometimes people are just so different, even though there is this unconditional love and there is a spiritual connection. Sometimes a person just comes into our life to show us something. And in this case, showed your person that there's different ways to live, and you can't, and for you, that you can't control love. You can't control who you're gonna have a connection with, because this doesn't really make sense for either one of you. And I think that happens. We get people that really are different and completely opposite and do trigger us when spirit is trying to show us that unconditional love means you don't have control over it. There's no expectation. There is no ownership. It just is. It doesn't logically make sense, but it can make you crazy, especially when you're both going to trigger each other. Because it's almost like, I can't live with you, but I can't live without you. So you're in a constant state. And a lot is just bringing up fears about oneself on top of it. So it's like, are these my wounds, or are these my wounds because you're triggering me? Am I feeling you because you feel like home? So it's like we really need to be grounded. And they're challenging relationships for that. Unsafe. I felt I could no longer feel safe with you. I am scared of you. And that's really when a person doesn't really know who they are. Like I said, they're living more from their emotional self. They don't think that they are, but understand if they're an empty like person, a person has an identity through creating themselves by becoming themselves, right? We're all down here in the physical form to learn and to manifest. You learn through the spiritual situations that you get, the families that you're born into, the societies that you're born into, the time that you're born in this life, and the experiences that you go through. And the whole point is to evolve into a higher state of consciousness, the highest state of consciousness, which is unconditional love. However, when we connect to a person that we love unconditional, but we feel unsafe with them, now we have to kind of make a choice between the heart and mind. Like I said, because there is a sense where this person like doesn't have a sense of themselves, so they're not strong within themselves. So there's a sense where you feel unsafe, where I feel like you will feel as if you will be abandoned. And if I recall, that was the wound that originally came out, that there was a sense of abandonment. And that I'm looking for the card. There was a sense of abandonment. I don't know where it is, but whenever we are belittled, whenever we don't feel good enough, whenever we feel that we've gone through traumatic experiences that make us go inward, we don't feel, we're trying to get safety. Now, I want to see more triggers. Again, for your person, argument. When I feel angry and irritated, I will start an argument if not soothed. So your person got triggered a lot with you, where like they want to control. You trigger them because you're different. And then they're also not emotionally intelligent, so they don't feel comfortable showing vulnerability. So a lot of times they would start an argument with you, because there's a lot of passion there. There is a connection, but it's almost like when we have wounds, and it meant at one time we didn't get what we needed. And so it made us feel a certain way. And I feel like I said, you are go back into the situation with this person and you are bringing out all their wounds. So they're triggering you. Now, how you're reacting, and it's just through how you're reacting. And how you're reacting is not in a negative way. They want you to react in a negative way. They want you to be bothered. They want you to have pain. They want you to suffer because they're not happy. And they're not happy because they believe that you should be acting a certain way, and you believe that they should be acting a certain way. You both have wounds. Okay, let's see. For you, vicious cycles, you feel stuck in a pattern that you can't escape. So again, when we have like a soul connection that's on, off, on, off, on, off, like I said, you want them to change, they want you to change. It's all about compromise. It's when you can't live with the person that you're connected to, but you can't live without them either. It means that you need to look at the situation differently. You're getting someone that is completely opposite than you. So they have skills, they have gifts that you don't have. So doing something with this person, creating something, because there's a lot of twin flame energy. We wouldn't learn how to compromise. We wouldn't learn how to forgive. We wouldn't learn how to really surrender unless there was a bigger purpose, right? We have this passion with our soulmate twin flame for a reason. And that isn't get stuck in this vicious cycle of on, off, meaning, yeah, I want you to change. No, I'm going to get you to change, or I'm going to change a little bit. No, I don't want to really change. Like there's a power struggle going on here. And your person does things to try and trigger you so that you'll act toxic. You don't act toxic, like I said, so that triggers them. It triggers you a little bit that they act toxic. Because again, they'll start an argument with you just to get to communicate. So I feel like this is why you broke off your energy to them, but you're still very much connected to them. There's still a lot of feelings, but you don't want to be stuck in a cycle anymore. Of like, it feels like after a while we just want to get off the merry-go-round because we feel more and more unsafe, because we have more and more trust issues every time we go around one more time in a cycle with a person that we love but continues to hurt us and brings up our wounds because we are looking at that person instead of the wounds that need to be healed. So, and for your person, it's limited. You think you don't have any original ideas. Again, your person feels limited. Your person needs to work on themselves because they don't think that they have any skills because they don't know who they are. And again, that happens if we were brought up in a certain environment that someone told us who we are and continuously told us who we are. And then we got our happiness, we got our sense of feeling that of self-worth through doing for other people, nurturing other people. However, your person doesn't want to do that for you because they're afraid to do it. They want you to do it for them. They don't want to let you go. They're just continuously trying to manipulate so that the situation goes the way that they want it to go, which is all about control. And what is happening is that you're not allowing it. Like I said, I think that this relationship for you, Virgo, is teaching you how to deal with a difficult person. And the reason why a lot of times we grow up in an environment that a parent's very difficult. They're very narrow-minded, want things done their way, and we tend to love this parent because we have unconditional love for our parents. But there is a sense that they're difficult. So as much as we love them, we don't like who they are as a person. They trigger us. So this person is reminding me a lot of energy that I feel like is familiar. And so a lot of times before you evolve to move up to a higher level of consciousness, which is going to actually bring better opportunities to you, bring better types of people to you. And when I say better types of people, I mean higher character, more morally coming from a better place because they feel good about themselves. You have to get tested. And especially if you grew up in an environment with a parent like that, and we wouldn't volunteer to do that. So we get a soul mate. But I feel like for this connection is really telling me that there is unconditional love and that you can't control it. And just like the love that you had for your parent, but they were a difficult parent. This is love that's very difficult. And also for your person that people think differently, and also for you, like I said, teaching you how to diffuse negative energy. So, and also for you to choose you, because if you don't feel safe with someone, it's you need to listen to yourself, but they need to change themselves, because all through this reading so far, your person doesn't know who they are. They listen to other people. They don't feel good about themselves. They feel limited. So we see that they can never really, they would never be able to give you what you need because of that. And then that's, you've already been like in this situation a few times, because soulmates, there is this unconditional love there. There is a sense of really wanting it to work out. No change. You refuse to change even though you need to. So again, your person wants to just stay. And I believe because you're going more inward, you're looking for ways to detach and be able to move on from this energy. I feel like you invested a lot in this, and you may say, I didn't give anything, but on an emotional level, if you were hoping, and it's how much time, focus, energy you give it. And so it's how much you thought about the person. It's what you thought this relationship could be. So I feel like you're in a place where you're spiritually healing. That's why you're going inward. That's why you're acting like you're not affected by this. You have intentionally cut off the energy, but I feel like your heart is still connected to them. But you know that like there's no change. That they refuse to change. And they refuse to change because in changing, they would have to change their entire environment. Remember, they changing for them means they're going to disappoint a lot of people, because there's a lot of people that depend on this person, because they got their love and their sense of self from doing for other people. So I want to look at the hidden truths, because just because a person does this, I'm going to know what they're going to do and how they really feel, what their real intention is. Like, are you just passion for this person, or do they have real love? Can you be the catalyst for them to change? Can they change? Sometimes the situation again comes into play because this person needs to change, and they need to first change by getting their own identity. I wish I could share my good news with you. So again, they missed the friendship. I hide behind material things. Again, they don't have an identity. So their identity is the mask. And their mask is their nice car that they have. Maybe if some of them live in a nice home, with the clothes that they wear. I couldn't let you get close to me. Yeah, because they knew who they were. So I feel like this person came in and they felt such a draw. They never expected to have feelings for you. They were very happy living in their own little Idaho, and not saying that they never cheated if they're with somebody, but they live more from a physical perspective. So I feel like a lot of, you know, these people that you're connected to are not dating anyone. They just live a facade of making people in their home happy, people in their work happy, in their own little environment. And they've never really left their environment, and they have very strict rules. So maybe they're friends with people in their church. Maybe they're friends with people, like I said, just from their community. And they make themselves look like they have it all together and that they're this big person, and they're not. They don't have an identity. They don't know who they are. So of course they couldn't let you get close to them. They have intimacy issues. They have trust issues because they are letting other people dictate their life. So they never really are truly happy. And I think you showed this to this person, like you can live this way, and they, try to put themselves into that perception, and they think that they could, and that scares them too, because they know it requires them to change, and changing creates, like I said, disappointment. I feel you leaving me behind because this person isn't doing anything. And like I said, I feel as if you've already cut the cord, Virgo. You're like still, I'm like, my intention is that it's over. Like, I'm not going to give. And if you never were in a relationship with this person, but there was a connection and you were going to date this person, you've decided, no, I don't want to be with this person. They're not on my level. So on a karmic level, that's what you look at this as. I feel like for your person, they have feelings, but they would require them to do a whole lot of changing. And what I see is they're just not ready to do it. And so we see, what is the whole point? What are we supposed to know? What are we supposed to know from this connection? I know the universe works in mysterious ways, but sometimes I judge this situation instead of surrendering to it. So it's a spiritual connection, and the universe works in mysterious ways. And this situation is bringing you what you needed to heal, that little bit of healing that you just needed to do, because you have done a lot of healing. You grew up in the same environment as this person. It's not the same environment but the same type of experiences. So it was like the same environment. You lived in your home, they lived in their home. But if you grew up in an alcoholic family, they grew up in an alcoholic family. It was traumatic. Or maybe if you were abused, they were abused physically. Whatever it was, the wounds were the same. So the psychological wounds were created, and the behaviorisms at one time were the same. However, I believe that, again, you cultivated these wounds. This person hasn't. You know who you are. They don't. There's still a soul's connection, and what you realize is that you have no control over love. And the universe is bringing you a person that is showing you aspects of yourself that you still need to love. And you can't. You have a hard time loving it. You didn't know this. You're subconscious to it. That's why the universe brought you this person. And what the universe is saying is, if you can love this person that has the same wounds as you do, well, you can love those parts of yourself that are the same, that are a magnet and reflect. They're really the mirror. That's why they work like the magnet, to, again, to create awareness, and so that you can integrate it. And unfortunately, integrating it was to choose yourself, which I believe that you did, because you didn't react to this. This person wanted you to chase them. They wanted you to give them more. They wanted you to undervalue yourself in order to make them feel comfortable. You grew up in the same environment that they did. It's like, so they shouldn't have been asking you to do that. Like I said, they wanted you to do that, and in that, they lost you. They wanted you to do that because they continually got triggered by you, but there's still love there. They just knew, I can't really let you in because there's nothing really here. And they know that. Like you said, they'd have to change their entire environment. So we asked the universe, what is the healing energy that they should really do or can do? And that's really, like I said, to understand how the universe works. And also I'd have to really, like, this card is of romantic charm and potential for power. And so I believe for you, it's to find your prince. There's a lot of different people out there. And the way that we go out and find them is by becoming ourselves more. And so there's a sense that you will also find someone, but in order to really allow that person to come into your life, you have to let go of this person fully. So I believe that is the spiritual kind of gift, but this is also a spiritual test that it will allow you to evolve, to get up to the next level, and to draw in, you know, the right person, because this person doesn't want to evolve. So really that is the karmic retribution. That is, it's the balancing of the scales, the fact that they do care, but in the fact that they don't want to like do anything to like fix themselves, they lose you. But because you were true to yourself and didn't waste your time with this person and didn't dumb me down, even though there was a soul connection, you meet your prince. I'm going to leave that there, Virgo. I hope that you resonated with this. And I hope, again, that you realize that a lot of times, like I said, the universe brings people to you that will just show you aspects of yourself that allow you to dive deep within inside of yourself to heal, so that you can, again, evolve and become the magnet of who and what you want to pull into your life. I'm going to leave that there. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.